What's up, YouTube? Black Man in Vegas here, and today I will detail my experience from growing up in a small rural town in North Carolina to living in the big city of Las Vegas, the infamous Sin City. So, a little about me, guys. I come from a small Granville County, North Carolina, which is a really small area. It's like right outside of Durham, North Carolina. And some of you may be more familiar with Durham. Durham is like North Carolina's Chicago, and there's a lot of growth and good development going on in that city. But it's also pretty been notorious for crime, like for as long as I can remember. So that was pretty close. So I have a lot of experiences out there too that maybe I'll get into in other videos. But growing up in a small town, any of you that may know, no matter where it's been, it's very limited. And I was always somebody that had big dreams and lots of different interests growing up. I was always at the reptiles at an early age. I was really into BMX, and I grew up with the internet, so I always watched videos of things like that. I used to see all the big reptile shows on the West Coast, particularly in California. But same with BMX, everything was either in New York or out here in California. And that was originally where I wanted to live as a kid, because you always see it in the movies. You see it, everybody knows about LA, but being out there down south, I didn't know that Vegas was this close to California. I think most people don't unless you actually live out here. But I definitely feel like it was a good choice because it's cheaper than California. It's kind of like a mini LA. I have been to California. Uh, I've been there a couple times. Technically, I've been there quite a few times, like just beyond the border. But I did for my birthday last year. I went out to LA. I do have a few cousins out there. Interesting enough, I feel like that played a part in it too. So I have these cousins that live in the IE, and for those of you that don't know, because this is something I learned too, that the IE is the Inland Empire, and that's like pretty much the things outside of right outside of LA, like Riverside, Fontana, San Bernardino, Ontario, like cities like that, and they live in that area. And I remember telling them as a teenager, because I met them once, never knew who they were before. We kind of met them because they were on a road trip, and they had a daughter that was around my age. And I told her, I was like, man, I'm gonna move out there to the West Coast with y'all. And I always remembered them. And 10 years later, I finally, made that happen. And actually, I always stayed in contact with the daughters as we were, close in age. And I always, we kept in contact through social media. And I remember telling her when I was out here at, they offered to give me a tour of of LA, and that was pretty fun. But I know I go off on tangents, guys. That's just how I am. But just living in Vegas is, compared to being in a small town, it is so much to do. I hear a lot, like, to me, like, and I'm not even a person that goes out like that. I'm not a party dude. I did do, a decent amount of partying in college, but as of recent, I'm not really that type of person. I kind of got that out of my system early, but it's definitely a lot to do. Like, obviously you have to strip. I don't particularly like going there like that. Like, I think most people who live here don't care to go to the strip like that. I do like Fremont Street a little bit more because it's smaller. It's similar to the strip, but it's smaller and more digestible. Because I had a friend that visited me recently, because our birthdays are near each other. So he came out here for his birthday, and he had never been anywhere either. He's from my hometown, and we sort of went to school together. We went to high school together, but our colleges were like down the road from each other, so we had a lot of college experience too. We used to go to a lot of the same parties, but it was kind of cool, showing it was his first flight, so it was kind of cool giving him that experience. He had never been anywhere either. We're both from the same small town. I showed him Town Square, which is a cool spot. I like. That's not things beyond the strip that most tourists don't really find out about. I feel like, and it's pretty cool. I like being in the city that there's things open late at night. Now, mind you, if you're in like a residential area, like if you're in like Centennial Hills or Summerlin, most businesses are gonna close around like 9, 10 o'clock. But there's something like if you got to drive further out, there's something open if you need something. Like if there's a particular store, or maybe you want something to eat. Now, and that's something when anybody that knows, when you live in these tiny towns, they don't have. I'll never forget. I had a terrible headache when I was a teenager, and I really needed to get some headache medicine, and like everything was closed, and like I just had to sit there and thug it out, so to speak. And it's just like, it's just a very limited environment. And I always tell people, and Of course, anybody that makes that move, I want to let you know now. Your families, most likely, especially you have all your families never left. They've been down there. They're probably, it's sounds bad to say, but they're just probably like most of the other small-minded people in your area. Just keeping it real, and definitely you're probably gonna catch a lot of backlash as I did. And just if you want to make that move, and especially if you're prepared, I'd say do it, man. Now I would see. I'm open. Like I had a good job coming out here. I had a remote tech job, and as you see in my other videos, I'm going through this now. I did end up losing that, but worst comes to worst. If I don't find anything in the next few weeks, I'll go back to Amazon. Like I did that before, and it pays just enough to really maintain my bills because I just can't go back, guys. Anybody that's ever moved this far, because I drove, like when I was in New Mexico, I moved to New Mexico first. I drove from North Carolina all the way to New Mexico, just me and my snake. I had one snake at the time. I have four now, but I had one snake at the time, and we're just sitting in there, like I'm sleeping at rest stops. Just it just felt like I was in a movie, guys. I don't know how to explain it, but it took me 3 days to do it. It was like a 27-hour drive. Never want to drive that far in my life. That's why when it comes to drive, like if I had to drive to LA, like these 3 or 4 hour drives are nothing. And I felt like Amazon was good training for that because you're spending so much time in a van driving and whatnot. And it was, even though it was a long drive, it was definitely an interesting experience. And I felt like it wouldn't have been the same if I had just like flown here, because you really see going from the south to the southwest how the terrain changes. Even when when you're stopping for gas, you see how it, even the racial demographic changes, because you see, particularly in the South. I mean, the South has some of everything too, but you really see more Hispanic people as you start hitting Texas and beyond. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And you see more mountainous areas too. That's one thing I never really thought of. Like when I think of the West Coast, is all the pretty mountains. I can see them right now as I'm looking out my window, and I really love the beauty of the mountains here. And New Mexico had that too. They had the Oregon Mountains out there in Las Cruces where I stayed. I stayed in I was in the Sonoma Ranch area by the golf course when I was over there, and it was a beautiful area, but it was just pretty kind of boring, just to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely a lot to do. I'm a huge foodie. I've been on so many different diets too. So like I try some of everything. Like I've been on keto, like the carnivore, vegetarian. I love trying like plant-based restaurants. Even though I'm not a vegetarian anymore, I love plant-based food, Indian food, anything. Like I'll try anything, guys. Like I'm all for new experiences. I feel like that's how you gain wisdom, through new experiences. That's one thing I notice about a lot of people. And this doesn't even really have anything to do with like small town people. Obviously, you're kind of forced to be limited if you never go outside of that. But a lot of people never go outside of their usual routine. And that's kind of what led me to get into tech. I didn't go to school for IT. I went for agribusiness, and to me, it's pretty much a garbage degree. I wasn't getting any feedback from any jobs when I was just trying to use those credentials, and that's what led me into tech. And being working at Amazon at the time really forced me to like really make a change in life, because I didn't want to stay doing that. Because anybody that's done that job or any type of delivery job, how what comes with it, all the dogs, apartments, working in the elements, how that is. And I've done like other labor jobs before that too. So I feel like it was a blessing in disguise, because it really motivated me to make a change. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm going through now, which is why I kind of see it as a positive, even though it can be stressing at times as far as like looking for work. But it's all part of life, guys. So that's why I want to get into all that in this channel. But definitely a lot to do out here. One of my favorite, of course, I had to try In-N-Out, the infamous West Coast restaurant. I had to try that. I didn't like it the first time I tried it. I think because I was already full, because I live around a bunch of restaurants, so I was trying everything when I first moved here. So I was trying Hawaiian food. I love Asian food. I was trying all sorts of Japanese and Chinese restaurants. And I went and tried it the second time. And I think it's because when I took it home, it might be weird to some of y'all, but when I go to certain restaurants, if I don't want to eat in there, I'll just eat it in my car, and like just so it's hot and fresh. Like if I don't feel like dealing with people. But moving alone too, that's something too that a lot of people think is weird, but I don't mind going to a restaurant by myself. But I have a girlfriend now, but I still do it. Like, my girlfriend, she actually lives in Pahrump. So that's like an hour out. And that's another thing. It's a small area. I wouldn't want to live there personally, but they do have wild horses out there, which is crazy. I didn't even know that was still a thing. Like when I think of horses, I think of the domestic barn animals, but it was pretty cool seeing the wild horses out here. I think I even saw them a little bit as I was, moving here from New Mexico to Las Vegas, which was pretty cool. Definitely a sight to see. And they got all types of cool nature attractions too. I want to hit. I didn't get to do that last year, but I definitely want to try that. As fall comes in, because this is something I kind of missed out on the previous season. But definitely want to get the job situation straightened out first. That's definitely main priority. But I definitely want to check all of that out and make more trips to California. But love Town Square. I love that. If you go to Town Square, I love boba. So if you go to Town Square, man, you got to try that boba tea place they got out there. And there's a lot of cool little shops in there as well. I'm trying to think of things. I should have wrote this down, guys. I'm just off the dome right now. But one of my favorite restaurants, I want to try to. Let me try and think. One of my favorite restaurants. This is actually, Down to Earth is one, and that's a vegan restaurant. Then Smash Me Baby Burgers, that's a hole in the wall spot off like West St. Louis Street. You can't even eat in there. It's like you just pick up only, but they had the best smash burgers, like hands down. It's a vegan smash burger place, and you can't even tell the difference in my opinion. But I'll make a list, guys, and maybe I'll even do some. Most likely, I'll do some infield content as well, because I feel like that would make it more interesting than me just sitting in my room talking. But obviously, that takes money. So that, like I said, I want to make the job thing a priority, because I do want to progress the channel and add more value and just make it a just an overall personal experience vlog type channel. But yeah, that's my experience so far, guys. Definitely a lot of beautiful women out here. For all my single guys, I had a decent dating experience. As me coming here. Obviously, I'm taken now, but of course, there's gonna be people with red flags too. But I feel like when you're in a big city, you got to take the good with the bad. But I feel like it's definitely better than a small town. When you're in a smaller town, your options are limited. And that's one thing too, like I don't like about these smaller areas. You have very limited options and just with everything. So it's definitely something to note. So any of you people in the small town thinking about taking that risk, if you feel like you're ready, and it'll I'd say go for it. And it'll definitely change you. And I always say experiences refine and experiences shape and refine a person. And you'll definitely notice that when you start making those steps and gaining these new experiences, you'll start noticing the differences between people who don't, and just how, small-minded they can be. Because some people have the opportunity to do things, they just don't have the courage to do it because they're stuck in that loop. They're like a hamster on a wheel, and I'm all for jumping off that wheel and escaping that cage, guys, and just getting new experiences in life and gaining wisdom. But I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Definitely more to come. Kind of rambled in this one, but I do want to make longer videos. I don't just want to have like a few minute videos, but I want to really get in depth into certain things, and maybe I do need to start writing certain things out so I can kind of have an idea of what I need to say. And so one thing I did notice is new in Vegas here. If you guys have, I know about it because I'm from the South, but they have a Bojangles here. They opened it at the start of this year. So if you guys have never tried that, that's definitely a delicacy in North Carolina. So I had to check it out to make sure, give it a taste, the Southern taste test. But that's definitely something here. If you guys have never had it, for you guys that are from the West Coast, that's like our in and out in a way. Like it's because of how prevalent it is down where I'm from. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe. Black Man in Vegas out.